FullOnDrums.com. We are honored right now to have one of my favorites from across the big pond, Mr. Benny Greb. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome. So you've got a whole line of cymbals. We're over here at the Meinl booth right now, standing in front of a whole set of cymbals designed and partially by you, right?
That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about those?
No.
Excellent. We'll see you next time.
Yes, I mean, people make fun of me often because when I start to talk about cymbals, I usually don't stop, but I try to keep it very short. I mean, I always modified my own cymbals, so I sandpapered them because I didn't like the new shrill sound of them sometimes, and I tried to hammer them myself as well. So I did them, and I put them in the oven, which is really something. I mean, no guarantee, but it changes the sound. Be careful. Can also break the cymbal, but sometimes I tried around a lot, and I got some cymbals from Meinl, and someday I went to them and said, I want to show you some stuff, and I pulled them out of the bag, and they were like, what were you doing to the cymbals? So I explained them a couple of ideas, and they helped me develop them further. And well, that's what came out of it. We sandblast the surface, the top, and we did a lot of things to it. But they sound beautiful. It's here we go. Like, that's what it started with. That's the sand ride. That was the first one. It has a thicker bell like usual because we take a lot of material away here. You can see it. Like very thin here. Very thin here. That's how it usually looks, and that's where we take the material away. What's the effect? Well, if we would do it all the way out, it would have been super thin like this. Oh wow! Where it's really, you can bend it a lot. It has this buttery feel to it, but it got a little bit too unstable because I wanted that thin sound. So we left the outer part, and it gives it back stability.
A little bit of the definition.
Yes. Well, it's just not. It doesn't shake, right. But it still sounds like a thinner cymbal, but with a thick bell. So.
And you can kind of crash on it too.
I love that. And so now what's new now is we have 2 crash cymbals for them. And one of my favorites, the 22-inch crash ride, which is, like I said, super thin and the hi-hat. So it's basically a vintage sound with a little bit more transparency and like you would compress a vintage cymbal, I think. So
you kind of gravitate towards thinner cymbals, so to speak, right?
Yes, I do.
Things that are a little bit washier, not quite as, they'll sit a little bit better in the mix.
Yes, they do, and I think they. If you hit a bass drum in a crash, you don't when you want to crash. For me, it puzzles me when people have thicker cymbals that do ding, but I want to really like a wave like that. Just
opens up fast.
Yeah.
And shuts down.
And then some of them they have an attack in the beginning, open up and then shut down. So this was an idea to have them really like when you're playing with the hands, they open up, so they're really fast. And they go away fast. I recorded once in the UK with them, and the engineer said, "Oh, I love your cymbals. They have their say, and then they go away." That's basically what they do.
Nice. So, hey, speaking of recording, do you have a different...
I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I love the comparisons and everything.
Benny Greb loves the show. Do you have a different philosophy sound-wise in the studio? Are you taking the same set of cymbals live and then the same set in the studio? Is that your sound, or do you have different palettes for when you would enter the studio?
No, and to be honest, I never understood that studio live thing, where it's like, oh, we do something different here. I don't get it.
No? Your sound is your sound.
Yeah, my sound is my sound, and I sometimes try to, although it's more fun, even if it's, especially if it's big, like stages and stuff, it grabs me as well. I play a little bit louder, to be honest, and I have a little bit more like fun with motions and stuff, but I try to not overdo that too much, and because the sound tends to get smaller the harder you hit. And
did you guys hear that? Say that one more time.
The sound tends to get smaller the harder you hit. I mean, it's which is sometimes maybe what you want for heavier sound, where you get a lot of knack out of the toms. But the sound that I want is quite a balanced one and a nice one. So
you have a very nice open tone. You don't hit hard, but you hit hard enough to open the drum up, which I love, because I get to hear what the drums sound like when you play, as opposed to a lot of quick attack.
Thanks.
I dig
and
it.
Here's your $50, by the way.
Thanks, yeah, thanks. So on the drum side of things, when you go in, you're a sonar guy, right? You play sonars. Do you different sets of heads or tuning when you go in the studio, or different things, or is it the same philosophy with the cymbals, where you're pretty much that's your sound and you just take it into the studio?
Well, it is. I mean, the thing that I changed most about is the snare, and I have a nice snare drum from Sonar that what I mostly do is I tune it a little bit higher than I would like it to be, and I take the two screws that are facing me just half a turn down. It gets rid of a little bit of the overtones and makes it a little bit shorter, but doesn't detune it in a weird way or something. It settles the snare a little bit. And if I have a tune where I want it even lower, I take 2 turns down. So it's
just the 2 lugs closest to you.
Yes, and it does wonders. And I think many people tune the bottom, like the resonance head, not tight enough. I would say crank them up. Crank it up so you almost can't press it in with your thumb. And then you can get it really low by just loosening those two screws. And it's what I do. And then people always get amazed when they hear a fat, deep, like granny sound with this 80s, or Steve Jordan made it popular again, I guess. And it works totally with a super high resonance head. And so that's what I do to answer the question, like in between songs, where I'm like, oh, that's a different song, I just take down the snare, count in, and then for the next song I take it up, count in.
And you can get all those different tonal ranges out of the one snare.
Yes.
Nice, that's really cool.
And I don't want to lie to you, I mean, I think it is possible with every snare. I mean, you just have to try it out. It works very good with my snare, but as I say, I don't want to lie to you. Just try it out with your snare. It's a great, great thing.
Very cool. Well, hey, if you could say one last thing, if you had to give advice to young drummers coming up, what would be one piece of advice that you would give them?
Make use of the most important resource that we have available, which is not money, but time. If you apply goal setting and focus and document your practice, or even gigs and stuff, and take time to evaluate the data that you get from it, like listen to the gig. I mean, some people are like, oh no, I can't listen to that stuff. It's like, wait, why? Listen to it, think about it, think about what do you want to do better next time. It's like, what do you have to do to make it better next time? So whatever, I mean, all the terms you can use for it are pretty unromantic, like goal setting, time management, all that kind of stuff, which sounds horrible, but it's actually quite emotional and wonderful if you really use it, and it's something that you can start early enough and really makes a difference, I think.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Benny, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure. I'm a big fan of you, man.
Thanks a lot.
BennyGreb.com?
Yeah.
Go check him out at BennyGreb.com. We'll have this up at FullOnDrums.com. You guys, peace out.